Welcome to the PharmaSource podcast.
Environmental sustainability can be a substantial differentiator for CDMOs. Jürgen Wieland, Development Environmental Sustainability Lead at Novartis, is engaged to integrate sustainability into development processes, including reducing the emissions of clinical trials. Jürgen brings over 20 years of finance and controlling experience to his sustainability role at Novartis, where he's responsible for embedding environmental considerations across R&D and clinical operations. Before joining Novartis in 2011, he served as CFO for an NGO bringing solar energy to rural East Africa. In this episode of the PharmaSource podcast, Jürgen shares how pharmaceutical companies and their contract development and manufacturing organisation partners can reduce Scope 3 emissions while improving operational efficiency, proving that sustainability and profitability are not mutually exclusive. Jürgen, thank you for joining me.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So let's dive right in then. How can CDMOs achieve cost-effective sustainability improvements?
Yeah, I think in the CDMO business, which is typical, very cost-conscious, identifying areas where you have win-wins is really a key item. So reducing consumption of natural resources, reducing waste, and applying circular economy principle, that's all great starting point on your journey. Electricity decarbonization offers the easiest entry point from our perspective. Novartis has partnered with other major pharmaceutical companies through the Energize program. This was initiated by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and is now hosted by the PSCI, the Pharmaceutical Supply Chain Initiative. This program allows to create virtual power purchase agreement that smaller suppliers can join without significant investments. We realized making large renewable energy project was overwhelming for smaller players. So we teamed up with this consortium. Each CDMO can sign up to take part without big hurdles. So heat and steam decarbonization presents more complexity, but also significant opportunities. Switching to biogas is typically more expensive, but if you find at the same time operational efficiencies by reducing consumption, optimizing your HVAC system, you can decarbonize it in a cost-neutral or even cost-beneficial way. For small molecule production, solvent management and precious metal catalyst recovery offer substantial savings. For example, rhodium and palladium catalysts, if you can recover, recycle, reuse them, this offers all a great business case. You don't need to source raw materials, you have fewer supply chain risks, and actually also less waste disposal cost.
So how does Novartis distinguish committed suppliers from those making potentially unsubstantiated sustainability claims?
Thanks, great question. You can see relatively quickly when there are unsubstantiated green claims. Sustainability has also evolved over time. Companies need to show evidence and action that they are actually making an impact. Sustainability needs to demonstrate business value as well as an overall positive societal impact. As Novartis, we require our suppliers to meet environmental sustainability criteria. For our largest carbon-emitting partners, we conduct detailed one-on-one sustainability roadmap discussions. We discuss the specific product and process they are supplying to us, identifying optimization opportunities, share also our experience, and see how we can get suppliers on board. The most valuable CDMO partners go beyond compliance and then only competitive costs. Advanced suppliers tend to be proactive and can propose from their side how an established production process can be further improved, such as through additional steps of solvent recovery, introducing recycling and waste valorization projects. Evaluation criteria of suppliers include understanding Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, setting ambitious targets, disclosing regularly progress, and sharing decarbonization roadmaps. For specific products, we ask for product carbon footprints or more comprehensive life cycle assessments, which include next to carbon emissions, for example, also water use, land impact, and ecotoxicity dimensions. The more mature and advanced you are as a supplier, the more likely you become a strategic partner and preferred supplier for Novartis.
I see. And so what is the optimal point to integrate sustainability into product design?
Yeah, so from our perspective, the sweet spot is typically during a phase 2 clinical study. Before that, there is a high probability that the compound wouldn't progress. After that, in phase 3, the manufacturing process is already part of your regulatory submission. So starting at phase 3 only means potentially missing the launch window. From early research through commercialization, sustainability assessments become more granular at each milestone, and with every major milestone, we reassess at Novartis the product and identify hotspots and optimization opportunities. It's for us a core deliverable in our technical development plans for all our R&D projects. So this approach considers, for example, production technology, the different raw materials we're using, what are batch sizes, yield improvement opportunities, and options for different packaging designs. A substantial opportunity during development, what raw materials you scale up, how you improve yields.
How does Novartis balance sustainability objectives while also meeting, critical patient needs?
Good question. But the clear priority is the patient needs, so we would not balance too much here. So a cell therapy, for example, might be actually more carbon intense per dose. But if that single dose cures the patient and avoids years of standard of care, hospitalization, and other drugs, the overall impact on a patient care pathway is still positive. Patient is in the forefront of what we're looking at.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's an interesting point. So how can sustainability initiatives generate measurable cost savings in development and manufacturing?
Good question. So when we started looking at clinical supply, we realized that by consolidating medication shipments to the sites, introducing reusable ship-up boxes, reducing overage in our supply chain, we had actually huge saving potentials. From my first day, I was able to draw on previous optimizations from my former finance role in global clinical supply organization of Novartis, and was able to tackle areas where sustainability within clinical trials had earlier no natural owner and offered meaningful improvement potentials. So examples of cost-positive sustainability initiatives in pharma manufacturing include areas like applying green chemistry principles, so solvent catalyst recovery and recycling eliminates the raw material sourcing costs, and also then the waste disposal fees. Packaging optimization is certainly a big topic. So things like a multi-device hospital pack reduce material costs, storage space, transport expenses. Process improvements are certainly big topics, so eliminating unnecessary chromatography steps, for example, in a biologics manufacturing, are nice examples where you can improve your efficiency without compromising on quality. And also yield enhancement, so advanced technologies reducing raw material requirements while improving outputs are also great examples in that direction. So sustainability has, from our perspective, really a clear business case. Employees are committed and willing to go the extra mile, and thinking bigger picture, protecting the planet advances human health overall as well.
Absolutely. And you alluded to this earlier, but can you tell me a bit more about what role does cross-industry collaborations play in accelerating sustainability progress across the industry?
So pharmaceutical companies are increasingly treating sustainability as a pre-competitive issue, so collaborating through multiple forums to accelerate progress altogether. One example is the environmental groups, or the PEC, which brings sector peers together in covering, for example, environmental topics such as water management and solvents. Everyone realizes that going together in the same direction regarding sustainability goals makes the journey easier for each player. It's good for CDMOs and suppliers to have clarity that progress is not dependent on individual action alone, but that we go together. Within the Sustainable Markets Initiative, which was introduced by King Charles a couple of years ago, the Health System Task Force brings together also here large pharmaceutical companies like us with key players like the WHO, UNICEF, NHS England, and Sustainable Healthcare Coalition. So also here there's nice and impactful forums to drive together positive change.
Cool, interesting. And finally then, for small biotechs and CDMOs, at the start of their sustainability journey, what practical first steps can they take to integrate sustainability actually effectively?
Yes, I think first of all, important point is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Try to learn what best practice looks like in your area, integrate that as much as possible in your own business circumstances. If you can apply sustainable approaches from the very beginning in your process, you will benefit along the way. So if you're willing to consider more sustainability activities, I can only recommend to reach out to existing collaboration forums, leading companies in this field. Also, pharma companies, as the customer of CDMOs, are certainly willing and happy to engage with you on the topic to drive together progress. If you can start your efforts by focus on win-win opportunities like resource efficiency improvements that reduce cost, this can create a lot of momentum without requiring significant upfront investment. You can reallocate freed up savings into other areas offering efficiency potentials and deliver at the same time on both sustainability and business performance. So there are great synergies around there, and the lower you get your entry barriers, the easier and faster you can go ahead.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Jürgen, for talking to me today. What I will take from this conversation is sustainability does have a business case in pharma. So thanks a lot for sharing your insights.
Thanks so much for having me, and looking forward to continue that discussion.